most of you know how to create a VM, okay, how to attach, means how to create, means get the key and log into it. Okay, another option is using connect option. Okay, this is the connect option we can use. Let me start this VM. So we'll need one VM. Okay, that VM we can even use our own personal laptop. Okay, but we'll have to install Terraform on Windows. Okay, but most of our things we are doing in Linux. If you already have a Linux box, there also you can install the Terraform. So what we will do is we'll create a jump server. We'll create a EC2 instance, and I have named it as jump server. Okay, so I'll just use that. Use any EC2 instance, maybe, but preferably Ubuntu. So just side by side create one Ubuntu EC2 instance quickly. Okay, so most of you know how to create a VM. Okay, so after creating a VM, this is only for running some commands. Okay, so nothing we will be doing in the console, only from this VM will be doing it. If we have it on locally, then we can use that as well. We don't even need to log in into console now. So one EC2 instance is required and a connection to it. So I'll just copy this public IP address. Okay, tomorrow it may change again. I'll just log in. Okay, so this is our VM. And if you see the documentation here, for reference, details given how to create an account in AWS. Okay, everyone has an account now, so this you can skip this one. But in when we learned about AWS, we also created some keys: AWS key ID and AWS secret key ID. Okay, so if you forgot about it, we can use this document to create it. Okay, so using this document, go to IAM. Okay, select your user, and create the keys. So I'll tell you how to do that. So we have a DevOps user. Okay, I have logged in as a DevOps user, if you can see here. Okay, that's all. What I also recommended that you also create one IAM user. Don't do as using a root user. So I'll again go to IAM. We'll go to and here go to users. Okay, so I have an EC2 user as well, but I should not have it. Let's delete it. If you don't need the user, just delete it. Thing that we created for some demo purpose. We'll just delete it. Okay. So in IAM, go to users. In users, click on that username. Okay. And when you scroll down, you can see it has an administrator access, that is full access. And go to security credentials. And here you can see we can create access key. Okay, so this is important. Access key. Click on create access key. Okay, use the default option, the first one. Okay, just click on I understand, click on next. Okay, so I'll just say AWS keys. Okay, these keys are important because even though we are doing using code, so whenever we use a code, an authentication is required from that code to the AWS environment. Okay, for this authentication we'll be using these keys. Just click on access key, okay, and just download it. Okay, so I'm just downloading in the class folder. I'll just rename it as AWS keys. You can give any name. Okay, and this will need it. Okay, so I'll keep this open so that I can copy it easily. Now let's go back to our EC2 instance. Okay, and we'll go to this exercise. Okay, create a S3 bucket and EC2 instance. Okay, so I should have one more separate exercise for installing Terraform, but I've done it in the same lab. Okay, so using this command we'll be installing the Terraform. So I would recommend you copy it, because copy paste may not work properly. So just copy it in the notepad, okay, and run this command. You all can do along with me now. So the first command I'm running, some prerequisites. Okay, so it's saying not required. So we are using apt get method. Okay, so, but there are various methods to install Terraform, using source code as well, or using binary directly. This we are using apt-get command, but by default the Terraform is not available. So what we are doing is we are doing it using we are adding a repository and then we are installing it. Sudo, okay, double quotes are missing. So again, actually this all this documentation was Ubuntu 20. Let's see if it works. So there are some warnings. I think it's installed. Let's check using which Terraform command. Yeah, the Terraform is installed. We can check its version as well. So we have version 1.8.4. Okay, so it's working. Just remember, while copying pasting, I missed this. Okay, didn't copy it. It was there. So Terraform is installed. Okay, now Terraform, even though it is installed in AWS environment, it doesn't have authentication or authority to create the resources. Okay, so for that we need to authenticate. So don't consider this VM as part of AWS infrastructure now. Suppose this is your own VM which you have it on your local laptop, then we need to authenticate with the AWS, otherwise we will not be able to create any resources. So what we will be doing is we'll be exporting these keys. This is one of the method. There are several methods. One of the method is as an environmental variable, that is a variable. We are setting its value. Okay, so from where I'm getting this value, this is we have it in the uh, Excel sheet we downloaded, or you can also copy it from here. But this will see only this, at least this secret key you will see only once. Once you go to the next page okay, or say click on done, this will not show the access secret key again. Okay, that's why we have downloaded for our reference the Excel sheet which has this access key and the secret key. Click on this access key, I have copied it, okay, and just replace it here. Okay, so I'll press enter. Similarly, I'll do it for access key as well. So ID key ID is not so important, okay, but this access key is important. It should not be shared with anyone. If anyone gets the access, it will have full control. Okay, that's why I'm copying it like this. Okay, okay, but still here it is showing it. Okay, so our authentication is done, but when I do control D and when I log out or when I restart this, okay, it will forget this details. Okay, we'll have to enter it again. Okay, so there is some other method which we'll see that later tomorrow. Okay, so this is how we do the authentication. Authentication is done. Okay, and where is that key? Let's see that again. So this is the key, and I'll delete it because it is captured in a clear text format in video. So I'll just delete it and I'll use the different one tomorrow, and we can deactivate or delete it from here. So now we won't log in at all much for doing anything on the console. We'll do everything from here. Okay, now the Terraform is installed. We have the keys. Okay, this key which we use for authentication. Now we'll just create a small code which will install an S3 bucket, which will provision an S3 bucket. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating AWS directory. Inside that I'll be creating resources. Okay, so you can use any name, but I'm preferring this. I'm creating an S3 bucket, so I'm creating one more directory called S3. I'll go into S3 directory. Okay, and here I'll write my first Terraform code, and this is the one. Okay, so we can give any name. I can give here name main.tf, s3.tf, my terraform code.tf, but it should have .tf extension. Mostly we give main.tf. In that, just copy this code. Okay, so I'll explain what this code means. So the first line is provider. Okay, so as we are working with AWS resources and on AWS cloud, we need to define for which provider this code is written. So we are saying that the provider is AWS, okay, and we have set the default region as US East. We can set it as any other region, okay, and this is the provider block. So why it is required? When the Terraform will run, it will download all the modules or plugins which are required to interact with the AWS. So even though Terraform, we are writing a code at the backend, it is calling some APIs. Okay, application programming interface, that APIs it calls, and for that APIs, whatever packages it needs, it will download it only for AWS, not for all the providers which are available. Okay, and after this, so for the time being, for today, what I'll do is I'll just remove this second line. Okay, it will create a confusion. Okay, and I'll just remove this as well. So very simple code. The first one is provider. So what are providers? That is one of the interview question. And the bucket name, as you know, it should be unique. Okay, so I'm just randomly adding something to it. So I guess I'll get this bucket name, but it should be a bit short, BKT. So the provider block we have. Okay, then the resource block. Okay, so the resource which we creating is AWS S3 bucket. This is the syntax of uh, Terraform. Okay, so we cannot change this. This should be for bucket. We should always use AWS S3 bucket resource we are creating. Okay, so this is just for reference. For this block, this is the name, my bucket. Okay, this we can give anything, my bucket, bucket 1, bucket 2. Okay, remember, this is like just declaring a variable, or you can say a reference for this block. Okay, and the bucket which we are creating is this one. This is the name of the bucket. It should be unique. So using only 3 lines or 4 lines, we'll be able to create the bucket. Okay, cat main.tf, just do terraform init. Okay, so when I do terraform init, what's happening? If you see, it saw that it needs AWS related stuff, so it had started downloading whatever required, whatever packages required to interact with the AWS. Okay, so Terraform has been successfully initialized. Okay, and if you see ls, it won't show anything. ls-al gives us the hidden files. So if you see, it created a .terraform directory. So we don't want to go deep into it, but if you see the provider, it has downloaded. It happens only when we do Terraform init. Okay, so some plugins are downloaded for interacting with the AWS. Okay, so let's not go much into it. Just go back. cd AWS S3. So some plugins are downloaded. And first command which we ran was terraform init. Okay, init, we can run it again if you want. Init, so provider plugins, it initializes, in short it downloads it in .terraform, then terraform init plan. So it will show what we will be doing. It will not directly create the S3 bucket. So just for reference, go to our console. In console, check for S3. Check for S3 service. We are just checking that if the bucket already exists or not. So if you see, if you click on buckets, I think there are no buckets. Okay, so here everything is empty. Okay, so initialization is done. We have written only 4 lines. Okay, that is just the name of the bucket and the provider. Okay, but we can also give some other options. Those two are mandatory. The other options, acceleration status, ACL, ARN, bucket name, this also we can give. Okay, but we don't need this. Okay, only bucket name is required. So if you see the bucket, it is saying that it will be creating a bucket. Okay, other things it will create on its own by default, whatever it wants. The default values it will take, but we can also change it if you want. Okay, force destroy is false. Okay, if you make it true, the force destroy will work. So in short, we came to know that it is adding one resource, one to add. Okay, and that it is saying AWS bucket will be created. Now we got a plan. Okay, this will be approved. Okay, and when it is approved, we'll just run apply command, or we'll just do plan. We'll just write and do plan. The apply will be done by someone else, but how it is done, it will be done using CI/CD pipeline and all. We'll see that later, but manually we are learning everything. Just do Terraform apply. Okay, and how it is able to authenticate, we have exported the keys. Okay, as we have exported the keys, it has contacted our AWS console or provider, and it authenticated using those keys. And when I do yes, okay, apply complete, resource 1 added. Okay, so it was just a small bucket. I think the bucket name is also available as it is unique. And if you go here and refresh this page, we can see the bucket is created. Okay, so you can also run this. Only the difference is here, along with creating a bucket, it is also creating a random ID. Okay, and that random ID is suffixed at here. Why? Because it should have a unique name. Okay, and we should if we want to reuse this code, it should automatically generate some random ID rather than I giving something random ID. It will, this block will create a random ID. Okay, and if you see, this block is used here. How it knows this block is created some random ID? Okay, and what I'm saying is create a bucket name, this one. Okay, and give some value to it. Okay, the random ID, and the random ID is random underscore ID. It is taking from the previous block dot bucket dot underscore suffix. Okay, random ID dot bucket suffix dot hex. Okay, so how to get the dot hex, I'll let you know, but this how it is calculated. Value of, we know that dollar means value of what, this resource block random ID. Okay, we have to use the syntax dot bucket suffix. So this is bucket suffix and dot hex. It will create a hex value. I know it, so I'm writing it hex. But in case we do not know how, what should be written here after this, okay, this we have calculated from the above block. But if you want to know how to what to write here, I'll tell you later. Okay, but for the time being, remember it gives an hex value. So let's run this as well. We'll create one more bucket. I'll just create one more directory, bk. I'll go inside it because it will interfere with the existing code. I want to create a new code. So earlier the randomness was manually. Now I'll create a random ID. Cat main.tf. Again do Terraform init. Again it is downloading the plugin. It saw that the provider is AWS, and how it authenticates using the export which we have done for the keys. If you do not do export, then here we'll have to add, okay, AWS keys after region, AWS key and password. Okay, but we should not have a clear text password in the code, because this code, we'll be learning about it, will be stored in a GitHub repository later on. It will be stored at a centralized location, and we should not have anything in a clear text format. This is my own system, so I'll just export the keys, and it will not be stored here. Okay, remember this is important. But for testing purpose, you can add that code here, that in this main.tf you can add those keys, access key and secret key here, but it is not recommended. Now Terraform init is done. Just do Terraform plan. So here you are creating two resources. First one is creating a random ID of this length. Okay, so it says that it will be creating a random ID of byte length 4. This is the block for that, and the other block is it will be creating a bucket. Here the name is not given because something will be calculated dynamically from this block. Random ID will be add prefix to it. Just add Terraform apply. Okay, and it will ask for confirmation. Just type yes. Okay, so this if you see, it added this value. Okay, and this value was created using this block. So let's go to our console and refresh it. Okay, and the bucket is created. Okay, so as we do not have any values into it, Terraform destroy will work. So what I'll do is, I don't need the resources now. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just do Terraform destroy. And just press yes. It is saying to destroy. Okay, now you know why it is required. Maybe someone tried to destroy it. Okay, so but that was not meant to be destroyed. Okay, then the approval should be given for destroy. That's why the plan is done. Okay, once it is approved, then only we will apply this and destroy it. Okay, so it destroyed the two resources, not two buckets, one bucket and the random id resource. And if we see it here now, one of the buckets will be destroyed. So we don't need to even destroy anything manually by going into console and see what we have created. So whatever dependent resources or whatever resources it has created, it will delete all. Okay, we don't need to worry about it. Earlier we used to go to console and delete each and every resource. So you must have seen how powerful and easy it is to use Terraform. So one of the bucket is deleted. Okay, I'll go one directory back and delete the other bucket as well. So here again run the same command, Terraform destroy, and if you don't want to write this yes, okay, means it should not prompt us to enter value yes, we can just use auto approve and it will not even ask us for entering yes no. Okay, so it has destroyed it. Just refresh this page. Okay, but it will destroy an empty bucket only. So this is all about Terraform, and we have even created our first resource using Terraform. The only confusing part may be this one, but every day I'll be explaining about the block. Okay, it was in Bucket. So catmain.tf, this may be confusing for you how to create this, but remember most of the times we have to dynamically generate everything, right? So the previous block is always useful. Okay, so random id which we generated above, that needs to be used here. Only the syntax you may find difficult how to create it, but the shortcut is use this random id here, add dot to it, then use this bucket suffix, and we should know what value it will be generating. Sometime it is id. Okay, not in this case, but for some other blocks I'm saying id number or something else. Here it is giving a hex value.